More than 30 persons dead as tanker collides with tricycle in Kogi road accident. NLC, TUC plan total shutdown over electricity fuel price hikes. In international news, US and Chinese presidents addressed the UN General Assembly with divergent world views. And in sport, Sunshine Stars unveil Gbenga Ogunbote as new manager.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. It was a Black Wednesday in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, as more than 30 persons were burnt alive when a petrol tanker collided with a tricycle early Wednesday morning. Among those burnt to ashes were a family of 6 Kogi State Polytechnic students, primary and secondary school students being conveyed in their school bus, residents and passers-by. Eyewitnesses say the tanker's brake had failed, causing the accident, in which more than 10 vehicles were burnt to ashes at the scene of the accident. 176 new COVID-19 cases were recorded on Tuesday night, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 57,613. Of this number, more than 48,000 infected persons have recovered. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control announced Lagos recorded 73 of the 176 cases, followed by Plateau with 50, FCT with 17, and Rivers 8. 10 other states also recorded cases in single digits. 1,100 infected patients have so far died. The 2,500 protesting Cross River State workers whose names were removed from the state's payroll have vowed to occupy the new secretariat until their names are reinstated. The protesting civil servants were delisted from the state's payroll by Governor Benedict Ayade's administration 30 months ago.
From the Cross River State payroll for a long period of a year and 1 month now. You can imagine the suffering they have gone through. No food for their kids, no food for themselves, no house rent money. Their children are all out of schools. Most of them have died, have passed on because of the trauma. You can imagine how people are feeling. Yet we voted for a government that was supposed to protect us. The people are dying. Your Excellency, your people are dying. Senator Ben Ayade, you have passion for humanity. This is why you will show the passion. Your people are hungry. Your people are dying. This is second day of the protest. Nobody could come and talk to them yesterday. That shows the high level of insensitivity in the sight of government.
The Trade Union Congress and the Nigeria Labour Congress are set to commence nationwide demonstrations from Monday. This is to protest against the federal government's failure to reverse the increases in electricity tariffs and petrol pump price. The unions say they would work together with their affiliate members to execute the industrial action for maximum effect. The National Executive Council of the NLC, comprising the chairpersons of the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, endorsed last Wednesday's decision by the Central Working Committee of the Congress. The committee will be making good on its earlier 2-week ultimatum to the federal government to reverse the price hikes or face industrial action. The federal government insists it would not reverse the passage of the National Water Resources Bill, which was rejected in the 8th Assembly and reintroduced in the 9th and current National Assembly. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed says those who criticize the bill do not have in-depth knowledge of its provisions. Mohammed said there is nothing new about the National Water Resources Bill because it is an amalgamation of water resources laws that have been in existence for a long time. It says the bill provides for professional and efficient management of all surface and groundwater for the use of the people. The minister also says the bill will ensure that the nation's water resources are protected, used, developed, conserved, managed and controlled in a sustainable manner for the benefit of all citizens. Critics argue the bill is aimed at diverting the resources of a certain part of the country to be used by herders. Coming up, African stories. South Sudan struggles to pay government workers amid soaring inflation. And later, international news. U.S. and Chinese presidents addressed the UN General Assembly with divergent worldviews.
You are watching ANN.
This boy, I go tell your mama for you.
I go tell your mama for you.
Just wait, I go tell your mama for you. Make you wear your mask. If not, I go tell your mama.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Over the past few years, Ghana has been experiencing annual deficits of more than 30 metric tons in its fish and fishery products. That constitutes at least 60% of the animal protein in the country's diets. To correct the anomaly, the government has decided to stimulate local fish farming. Correspondent Nabil Ahmed Rafai has the story.
Ghana's marine fish stock is depleting at a rapid rate. Fishermen say the industry contributes about 400,000 out of the 1 million metric tons of fish protein the local market demands annually. So, fish farming is the industry's way of bridging the gap.
They are making a lot of impact by employing a lot of people. We also do this aquaculture for food and jobs, where the government is giving training, is giving resources to institutions such as schools and colleges, and then other institutions like the prisons, so that they give you the feed, the seed for you to produce. When you sell, you can get something.
Tilapia and catfish are the two main cultivated fish in Ghana and contribute 100,000 metric tons of fish demand. As fish farmers ramped up production in the beginning of this year, the coronavirus lockdown hit sales.
People were not buying their fish because people were indoors, and that one affected what? Their income. The fish will be in the pond, the fish will be in the cages, the fish will be in the tank, yet we'll be feeding them. But then, some of the fish were ready to be sold. However, because of the COVID, they weren't able to sell.
With restrictions lifted, fish farmers here are looking to scale up production. The process starts by removing the eggs from the mouth of the tilapia.
Once the eggs are retrieved, they are hatched in these incubators. The fry produced here are transferred into the concrete tanks where the hormonal feeding is done for between 21 to 30 days.
About 1 million fingerlings of catfish and 3 million fingerlings of tilapia are produced here annually. It takes between 7 to 8 months for these fingerlings to mature for harvesting. But as fish farmers cultivate these fish, they have to deal with people's reluctance to eat fresh catfish.
Fresh one, and you'll be an fresh.
Many people don't like the fresh catfish, so when we bring it to the market, we may lose money because people won't buy it. They prefer the smoked one because it's easier to prepare when making soups.
Although dried catfish is popular in Ghana, the government is aiming to increase fresh catfish sales.
We are going to put up a program which we are going to call Fish Fair. And then the Fish Fair, we organize, maybe one Saturday, we organize somewhere, we are having fish fairs. You come and we present all the different products to you. You come and you can taste fresh fish cooked or put in paste or something. And you can see it, you can taste it, and we believe that you will like it. And that's the way we want to promote the taste for Ghana.
Still, fish farmers say more needs to be done to improve Ghana's aquaculture landscape. The cost of fish feed is high and makes up 70% of production costs. They want the government to also tackle that while addressing issues of a ready market for fresh catfish.
The government of South Sudan is having problems paying its employees as inflation soars in the country. At first, the fall in oil prices was to blame for economic woes, but then COVID-19 pandemic hit the country with a double whammy. Correspondent Patrick Oyet has the story.
Lucy Nathaniel is a government employee. She says her monthly salary used to be equivalent to $500, but inflation means her salary is now worth $5, and she hasn't been paid since March.
And when you look around the country or in the town, people look all sick. It's not really the sickness, but we are suffering, we are hungry. One per day cannot really manage our situation. When you have the tea, at times we sleep with the tea. When we have that one passion per day, it is very little, which is not enough even to make one sleep well.
Many civil servants are now abandoning government jobs. Some are riding motorcycle taxis, locally known as border, but that business is also not doing well since fuel prices have risen due to the devaluation of the local currency.
We are suffering a lot. Our government should do something to reduce the dollar rate against the local currency. Prices are increasing every hour because of the dollar rate. Now you get something at a certain price. After 2 hours, a different price. We cannot even have a proper meal.
The government says more than 19 revenue-generating institutions are yet to remit money to the National Revenue Authority, money the government relies on to pay civil servants' salaries. South Sudan's government says it is looking for loans, but it is being accused of lack of financial transparency by the World Bank. That makes it difficult to secure the funds to try and stabilize the economy. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has instituted a committee to try and salvage the situation, but the committee says improving the economy is a lengthy process.
We have set up subcommittees. Some are buying gum arabic, simsim and other agricultural products from the northern part of the country so that we export these products and get some more hard currency. It will take some time, but things will improve.
For Lucy, it is now a matter of survival. She is hoping the government will help her find a way out.
As COVID-19 pandemic punishes the poor and needy in Kenya, a foundation has taken up the task of feeding children from single-parent families during the pandemic.
In Ruiru, a town that's 40 minutes drive from Kenya's capital, Nairobi, Caroline Dungu is busy preparing food. She is the founder of Jewel Souls Hope Foundation, a humanitarian organization. The organization recently launched a feeding program that helps single mothers struggling to provide for their children.
We didn't have money to buy those things now. But when the Chinese embassy came through, they told us, what we are going to do, we'll give you $5,000. Then you use that money for the next 2.5 months to do the projects.
Caroline Dungu, as well as the other members of the foundation, are single mothers. From her own experience, she understands how hard life can be, especially during the pandemic.
I am a single mother of 3 children, boys. Sometimes we had nothing to give children. We are happy because of this program, and we pray that you shall continue to give us food for our children.
Eunice Wangoi, a Standard 7 pupil, is among the 120 children Caroline's organization is feeding. With learning institutions closed due to COVID-19, many children are no longer able to access free school lunches.
I want to tell all the donors that donate to us this food. I want to thank them, and I want to tell them to bring us more food.
Right now, I think things are getting tougher. So every day I'm having new faces. And it's sad for a child to come and tell them, no, go back home, we don't have food for you.
Besides the meals they serve on weekdays, the foundation gives each child 2 kilograms of maize flour so that they have something to eat on weekends. Caroline believes that with more donors like the Chinese embassy, she can continue to help such families.
When we return, international news. U.S. and Chinese presidents address the UN General Assembly with divergent world views. And later, sport. Sunshine Stars unveil Gbenga Ogunbote as new manager.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. World leaders have been addressing the United Nations General Assembly virtually since Monday. On Tuesday, U.S. President Donald Trump used his speech to blame the Chinese government for the global spread of COVID-19. He also called on the United Nations, to hold the country responsible for its actions.
It is my profound honor to address the United Nations General Assembly 75 years after the end of World War II and the founding of the United Nations. We are once again engaged in a great global struggle. We have waged a fierce battle against the invisible enemy, the China virus, which has claimed countless lives in 188 countries. In the United States, we launched the most aggressive mobilization since the Second World War. We rapidly produced a record supply of ventilators, creating a surplus that allowed us to share them with friends and partners all around the globe. We pioneered life-saving treatments, reducing our fatality rate 85% since April. Thanks to our efforts, 3 vaccines are in the final stage of clinical trials. We are mass producing them in advance so they can be delivered immediately upon arrival. We will distribute a vaccine. We will defeat the virus. We will end the pandemic, and we will enter a new era of unprecedented prosperity, cooperation, and peace. As we pursue this bright future, we must hold accountable the nation which unleashed this plague onto the world, China. In the earliest days of the virus, China locked down travel domestically while allowing flights to leave China and infect the world. China condemned my travel ban on their country, even as they canceled domestic flights and locked citizens in their homes. The Chinese government and the World Health Organization, which is virtually controlled by China, falsely declared that there was no evidence of human-to-human transmission. Later, they falsely said people without symptoms would not spread the disease. The United Nations must hold China accountable for their actions.
In his own virtual address to the United Nations General Assembly, Chinese President Xi Jinping took a different route, calling for multilateral cooperation in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Correspondent Nathan King has the story.
Heralding China's success in the struggle against COVID, Chinese President Xi said the response to the pandemic showed the need for multilateral cooperation, less finger-pointing, and the need to put lives over livelihoods.
The spread of the virus must be contained. Facing the virus, we should enhance solidarity and get through this together. You should follow the guidance of science, give full play to the leading role of the World Health Organization, and launch a joint international response to beat this pandemic. Any attempt to politicize the issue or stigmatization must be rejected.
President Xi renewed China's pledge that any vaccine developed by China would be a global asset available to any nation, especially developing ones. He stressed China's economic recovery and called on the world to use the crisis to make progress towards a global green economy. While not naming the United States, he stressed China's adherence to multilateral trading norms as laid down by the World Trade Organization, and said that great powers should assume greater responsibilities.
We have no intention to fight either a cold war or a hot one with any country. We aim to foster over time a new development paradigm with domestic circulations as the mainstay and domestic and international circulations reinforcing each other. China will continue to work as a builder of global peace, a contributor to global development, and a defender of international law and international order, to support the UN in playing its central role in international affairs.
China's President Xi also said China would live up to its commitments in funding the United Nations Social Development Goals and domestically would meet targets to eradicate extreme poverty on the path to becoming a moderately prosperous society. And underlying a key goal of his diplomacy, the Chinese president stressed that COVID-19 has shown that the world, if united, can work together to achieve a shared vision of mankind for the 21st century. The Chinese president's speech stood in stark contrast to the United States President Donald Trump, who accused China of spreading COVID-19 and the World Health Organization as well. This, of course, comes as the US surpasses 200,000 deaths here in the US, the most number of deaths and the most number of cases in any country by far.
Medical authorities at the German hospital in Berlin that has been treating Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny says he has improved enough to be released from the hospital. Navalny is the most vociferous opponent of President Vladimir Putin, who was flown to Germany 2 days after falling ill in August on a Russian domestic flight. On his arrival in Germany, medical tests revealed he was poisoned with a Soviet-era nerve agent. Navalny was kept in an induced coma for more than 2 weeks. Members of his team have accused the Kremlin of involvement in the poisoning. Russia, of course, has strongly denied that charge. Medical officials at the Berlin hospital say it is possible Navalny would completely recover from the nerve agent's poisoning. Up next, sport. Sunshine Stars unveil Gbenga Ogunbote as new manager. Please stay with us.
You are watching a
Welcome back. This is in news. In sport, Nigeria Professional Football League side Sunshine Stars have announced Gbenga Ogunbote as their new manager. Ogunbote had previously managed the Akure-based side in 2012 and helped them reach the semi-finals of the CAF Confederation Cup. Super Eagles coach Garnet Raw has invited 6 new players for the team's friendly matches against Ivory Coast and Tunisia to be played in Austria next month. Raw dropped first-choice goalkeeper Francis Uzoho, who just recovered from the injury he sustained in last October's friendly against Brazil. That is in the news this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.